All right, the bipartisan border bill was a sham and a joke. It gave your president, Biden, sleepy over there, poo-poo pants, it gave him the authority to shut down the border. We know he's not going to shut down the border. He's never considered. Yeah, if you're trying to debate the cognitive abilities between your president and mine, let's go, my friend.
What is up, everyone? Today we're diving into a fiery debate between Francesca Fiorentini and Tomi Lahren on Piers Morgan Uncensored. Francesca brings her progressive takes while Tomi is on fire with her classic conservative punchlines. Who comes out on top? Spoiler, one of them lands some brutal blows and the other seems like they're scrambling. Let's get into it and break it down.
Well, first of all, Piers, when you said that the United States has unlimited money, that's not true. We have no money. We are in debt. So the fact that we just have this unlimited money to spread across the world, meanwhile, we've got American cities looking like the third world, and of course, our wide open southern border, that to me is a point of contention. But I'll also say this. Now, I understand initially wanting to help Ukraine, and I understand in year one, maybe year 1.5, maybe year 2, supplying Ukraine with what they needed. But now as we're entering year 3 of this, at some point there needs to be a reality check. Can Ukraine actually win this war without other countries stepping in and actually fighting it for them?
This is spot on. This endless funding to Ukraine with no clear exit strategy is absurd. We've got American cities crumbling, a border crisis at home, and yet billions are funneled overseas with no accountability. And Francesca, she's probably trying to moralize her way out of this, but Americans are tired of footing the bill for a war we have no business fighting. It's time to put America first, something the left seems allergic to.
And furthermore, you've got Ukraine being the second most corrupt country on the face of the earth behind Russia, and we're continuing to send millions and billions of dollars. A lot of Americans don't really know where that's going. And a lot of us also feel that when this eventually ends and there's some kind of a diplomatic resolution with Russia, then the United States is going to go in and give more money to Ukraine for so-called nation building. So when does the spigot get shut off? And also, why are Democrats so reluctant to say we will loan you this money? We will loan you this equipment. Why is this a forgivable loan when the United States itself and so many Americans are currently suffering under inflation and Joe Biden's policies? That's something that a lot of conservatives want to know, and that's why we're furious over this. I'll tell you this, there are a lot of neocons in my party who love war, and they love the military-industrial complex, and they would love to continue wars all around the world because it lines their pockets. I'm talking about people like Dick Cheney and Nikki Haley. Dick Cheney and Nikki Haley are not America First conservatives like was birthed during the Make America Great Again movement, where we said we are done with endless wars. We are done with going in and meddling in other nations and then spending more money to rebuild those nations. And a lot of us have had enough of it because we've seen that the fruits of that have not proven anything positive for the American people or our way of life. But I'll also say this. There's a lot of talk about should we help Ukraine? Should we not help Ukraine? Like I said before, Piers, let's make it a loan. Ukraine is a mineral-rich, natural resources-rich territory. They should be able to repay us. If indeed they are able to take our generous handouts, they should be able to repay us. So I don't understand why that can't be put on the table and why there's such heavy pushback for them to repay us if they do, in fact, beat Russia with our help.
Right, but are you comfortable for Vladimir Putin to win?
There goes Piers with the classic framing tactic to box critiques into a corner. It is not about being comfortable with Putin winning. It's about questioning whether endless US involvement actually changes the outcome or just delays the inevitable. Supporting Ukraine is one thing, but pretending that America's role is the sole deciding factor and ignores European responsibility and the limits of US power, real leadership isn't about writing blank checks. It's about smart strategy that prioritizes national interests without falling into a perpetual war.
Do you think that's in America's national interest, given what you've just heard from a military expert about the axis of evil? Quite clearly, Iran, North Korea, China, all invested in Russia prevailing here. Why would that not send massive alarm bells to you about what's going on in the geopolitical part of this?
It certainly does. But again, if Ukraine can win this war without American boots on the ground, that would be great. They haven't given us the indication that they are able to do that. And how many years is this going to drag on? How much more U.S. funding is going to drag on? And also, why isn't Europe chipping in a little bit more? I'm sorry, Piers, but you'd think maybe the U.S. didn't have to be the babysitter
Well, I would
for
say
the
on
world.
that,
This line captures the growing frustration among Americans about the US constantly stepping in to solve global issues. The sentiment reflects a desire to prioritize domestic challenges like crumbling infrastructure, inflation, and social issues over endless involvement in foreign conflicts. It also raises a critical question. Why aren't wealthier European nations doing more to support Ukraine given their geographical proximity and shared interest in containing Russia?
Also say in
well, hang on,
regards
on
to
that,
Russia.
I would say the UK has, but other countries have been lagging, and you're right. I've always agreed with Donald Trump, by the way, about NATO countries not pulling their weight financially. It shouldn't be left to America to always be the ones who do pay their dues when others don't. So I completely agree about that point of it. But I just find it staggering that anyone in America would genuinely think that letting Putin win would be good for America, because it wouldn't be. It would embolden one of your great historical enemies. Just bring in Francesca here on that, because you're nodding.
I would just say it's an awkward position for Tomi to be in, because the reality is that there's total hypocrisy here, that this is the one war that Republicans are like, oh, our God King Emperor told us we don't like this war, and so we have to figure out a way to not like this war, but like all the other wars, which is Donald Trump. And here's Donald Trump's worldview. I think Tomi is tapping into something very real in the Republican Party, which is a sense of isolationism, right? They're like, we don't want wars abroad. We want wars here on our own people, like black people, brown people, and the southern border. We love those kinds of wars.
Hang on. She never said that.
Let me finish.
No, hang on.
Let me finish.
Hang on. Let me just on that point. No, I can't let you say that without challenging that. She never said anything like that. And the truth is about the southern border, it's not the cozy little picture that you paint of some poor woman and their baby, being stopped from coming in and having lunch. The situation of the southern border, whether you're on the left or the right or any political side in America, is an absolute disaster that everybody knows is an absolute disaster. So to categorize it as racism, I think is completely wrong.
Oh, they don't call it racist. It just happens to be Latinos and black people that get the boots on their necks. But when it comes to law and order on our God Emperor, who's currently in his first criminal trial right now, that's fine. He can flaunt whatever laws he wants. The thing is this. I don't believe that we need to support those endless wars. I think Tomi's absolutely correct. And I think the base of both the Democratic and the Republican parties, the left, the right, whatever you want to call it, are sick and tired. Because as Piers, you aptly laid out, there's never a question of where the money's going to come from when it comes to war. But whenever we want anything like, I don't know, money for education or paid family leave or reining in, climate chaos, then it's like, oh my goodness. And it's usually Republicans who are like trillions of dollars.
This highlights a bipartisan hypocrisy. Massive war budgets are greenlit without debate, while domestic programs are scrutinized for their cost. This exposes a deeper frustration with priorities in Washington, suggesting that the establishment prefers funding wars abroad over addressing pressing issues at home. Let me know if you guys would agree with that down in the comments.
Dollars of debt. But if Donald Trump is reelected, he's going to extend that debt by extending the tax breaks that he gave to his billionaire friends. And that added almost $2 trillion to our deficit. But no one's asking how we're going to pay for that. So I'm pointing out the hypocrisy on the left and the right. Leading Democrats are full of it when it comes to endless war. And I'm the first to call that out. Again, we need an actual diplomatic solution. Yes, Putin is an unstable actor. But there has to be a way forward that isn't just more war. I agree with you. We don't want him to win. But also, how can we actually move this forward that doesn't involve...
Okay. Yeah, I do too.
But all of this comes back to Donald Trump. Can I just say all of it comes back to Trump? Trump was the reason that there wasn't a bipartisan border bill passed. Biden was ready to sign it. I personally disagreed with it, but a bunch of leading Republicans did. And then, God Emperor stepped in and said, no, not yet. And so I want to know what Tomi's answer to that is, putting all of this on Biden when Biden was the one who say, let's move forward with border security.
All right, Tomi, last word to you.
I can't wait to talk to somebody. I can't wait to talk about border security with Francesca because she's got a very limited knowledge of the subject. I wonder how many times she's been there. I've been 6. Go with me next time. All right. The bipartisan border bill was a sham and a joke. It gave your president, Biden, sleepy over there, poo-poo pants. It gave him the authority to shut down the border. We know he's not going to shut down the border. He's never considered
This is probably one of the funniest parts of this specific clip, and Tommy is definitely not wrong. The border bill, a complete disaster. Biden could act decisively, but let's face it, this administration doesn't want to fix the border. Why? Because open borders means future Democratic voters. It's a calculated political move, and Tommy's exposing the game. Biden's failure to protect American sovereignty is a slap in the face to every hardworking citizen who wants secure borders.
Yeah, if you're trying to debate the cognitive abilities between your president and mine, let's go, my friend. But I will
He's not
say
my
this,
president,
our
but he
border
never
is
fell
wide
asleep
open.
in
We
his
don't
criminal
just have
trial.
mothers and children coming over. Yeah, okay, you got it. You convinced the world that Joe Biden is cognitively responsive. That'll be a good debate for another day. But as it comes back to our southern border, we've got terrorists coming across our southern border. We've got military-age men coming across our southern border. And by the way, it's bankrupting our nation. It's bankrupting your major blue cities where they don't know where to put these people. And the black and brown people that you talk about in these major American cities that happen to be American, they are the ones getting the short end of the stick as their facilities and their resources are being used to take care of people who have no legal right to be here. So if you want to talk about that bipartisan border bill, it was a joke. Also, your president today could take executive action to solve the problem, as my president Donald Trump did. He chose not to. He chooses not to because he sees these people as future voters. He wants the Democrat Party to remain in power, and that is why we have an invasion at our southern border.
In conclusion, I mean, Francesca had some decent moments, but Tommy dominated this debate with raw energy and sharp critiques. Love her or hate her, she makes you pay attention and has made some pretty valid points. What's your take? Let me know in the comments below. This is a place for discussion. Also, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. We'll see you guys in the next one.